If you found $100 on the street, would you pick it up or keep walking? Of course you take the money. So why do you keep picking winners and not betting on them? That's why I go to MyBookie. It's fast, it's easy, and they pay you when you win. Let's face it, guys, where you're betting is just as important as who you're betting on. So do the smart thing this football season. If you're going to bet with MyBookie. Did you know you could bet on games after kickoff? If by the second half it looks like you're going to lose your bet, you can always just take the other side at MyBookie. Join now and MyBookie will double your first deposit. Use promo code Detroit100 to activate the offer. That's promo code DETROIT100. Visit mybookie.ag today. You play, you win, you get paid.
Fellas, I want to tell you about a product that can improve your performance in the bedroom. And what better way to improve the quality of your life than to please the woman of your dreams? Blue Chew brings you the first chewable with the same FDA-approved active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, so you know they work. Blue Chew is the fast and easy solution for any man looking to enhance their performance and step up their game. You don't have to be one of those guys that finishes quickly, or you don't have to be one of those guys that, at the end of the day, regrets not having a great sex life. Blue Chew is prescribed online and shipped straight to your door in a discreet package, so no in-person doctor's visit, no waiting in the pharmacy, and best of all, no more awkwardness. They're made in the USA, and since Blue Chew prepares and ships direct, they're cheaper than a pharmacy. Right now, we've got a special deal for our listeners. Visit BlueChew.com and get your first shipment free when you use our special promo code DETROIT. All you got to do is pay the $5 shipping and handling fee. Again, that's BlueChew.com. Promo code Detroit to try it free. Blue Chew is the better, cheaper, faster choice, and we thank them for sponsoring the podcast.
Welcome in on a Monday to the Monday Mashup on Detroit Sports Podcast. As always, Shea Norling joining me, Kevin McCann.
What's going on?
Good things, only good things. It was the first weekend of college football, and despite being a slate of just awful games, awful games,
Turned out okay.
it went pretty well.
Few upsets.
Quite a few. Yeah. A couple times that I got kicked in the
That's tough.
kicked in the old balls.
It's no good. Gambling will do that to you.
Fuck gambling. That's my take after the weekend.
I had I usually, if I go 3 for 3 on a Friday night, it's bad news. I just cut it off. Like, I was
smart.
so close to betting Stanford and Northwestern, and I was like, no, like, there's that chance Stanford's going to roll and just score 5 touchdowns on the ground, and I didn't bet it.
Do you bet totals, like, exclusively?
I have this theory, and it's not my theory, I steal it from Bomani Jones, that college students are the most unreliable people on the planet, so I don't want to bet on them to cover something or do anything. But, like, I bet Tulsa to cover. Because I was like, I don't know what's going to happen, but there's no way Michigan State wins a game by more than 23 points on week 1. It's not going to happen. So I bet that one because I was like, that's a clear lock. But then the other two were over. Well, yeah, I actually bet 2 overs. But I like betting totals more because I'm like, at the very least, they'll score some points or they won't score some points.
See, I hate totals. I always bet to cover. And in the case of this week, I bet Tulsa to cover, and I won. And then I bet a couple other games that Northwestern plus 6.5.
That's an early nominee for worst beat of the year.
I was 20 seconds away, and I put a reckless amount of money on that because I thought it was an absolute lock. I was 20 seconds away. I'm like, we are smooth sailing. Pat Fitzgerald can't possibly fuck this up. 20 seconds left. Northwestern football, 10-7 football game.
Just go for it. Just don't punt.
How did he just get sacked? And then the ball goes straight up in the air. I'm like, I'm like, okay, at least it's going to be a safety. Yeah. And then he fumbled recovering the safety. In 15 seconds, I had a lead pipe smashed over the back of my head, which wasn't as bad as it could have been because, again, I was looking at Oregon, and I'm like, well, hey, Oregon, I had +4. I thought they were going to win outright, and they're up 21-7, 21 to whatever. Holding a nice lead. Auburn can't do anything. And then Oregon decides to stop scoring points.
I stopped watching for like 10 minutes. I was flipping around, and then I looked back at the score, and I was like, oh, okay, well, they got the ball here. I'll turn it on again. And I was like, oh, okay, now I got a game. But there was a quick minute where I was like, this is done. This one's over. Oregon's going to finish this.
Oregon needs to fire Mario Cristobal. He's gone. Remember Stanford last year? How many times is Oregon going to do this thing where they get out to a big lead against a decent opponent and then just fucking kick themselves in the dick?
Yeah. Well,
last year against Stanford, Oregon was up like 31-13 or something, and Stanford ended up forcing overtime and winning the game 38-31 in Eugene.
Right. And even they were winning that game. Like the play Herbert made where he rolled out left and fired way back right to a true freshman who went up and got there.
That was a great touchdown.
Like, it was a hell of a play, but they don't get that. And they're like...
But at the same time, it's like they should have been dominating because Gus Malzahn could not get out of his own way. He kept putting a true freshman quarterback in the worst spots I could possibly have seen. I am so sick. The worst part about Oregon losing this game is not me losing my money. That stinks, but it's not the worst part. The worst part is that now I have to listen to people respect Gus Malzahn again, and I hate that.
His postgame made me so mad. It's like you just pulled one out of a hat and you're pissed. Stop being pissed.
He has been riding the coattails of 2 miracle plays in 2014 for far too fucking long. Yep. I'm tired of it.
One off the helmet against Georgia, and then one where they kick 6.
Yep. Against Alabama.
Other than that,
he should have had 2 losses in 2014.
And then who was it? Andy Staples that said this week, like, and the only reason they kept it, like, they wanted to fire him 2 years ago, they could have fired him, and then his name came up for Arkansas, so they gave him a raise instead. Like, just let him go to Arkansas.
And now that he won this Oregon game, I'm not confident he's going to be fired after the end of this year, which I want because I want Urban Meyer to take the job at Auburn because I want Saban versus Meyer. I want it.
I want USC. I want Saban versus Meyer in a championship game. USC versus Alabama. LA versus the South.
But it's the Iron Bowl. It's the Iron Bowl. That's like Woody Hayes and Bo Schembechler. It's every single year. The final game of the year, Urban Meyer, Nick Saban.
Just go back to Florida then. Like, it would have been more fun.
But that's the different division. You're not going to play every year.
You get him in the championship game.
It's the Iron Bowl.
It would be cool. It would be really cool. I just think we just had it in Ohio State and Michigan, though, and we saw how that works.
Listen,
granted, Saban's way better than Harbaugh, but...
Clay Helton is on his way out the door at USC, though. Quarterback just died.
The second he saw what JC Nelson is in there, just the second his knee exploded, Clay Helton was like, fuck. I just got 2 less weeks than I had before.
He's like, baby, he went to his wife or girlfriend, whatever, and he's like, honey, listen, we're on ramen noodles the rest of the year.
Seriously, like, I thought it was going to last till week 7, now I'm only going to last till week 4.
I don't know when the contract's up, we're on ramen noodles.
I don't know who they play
we
next.
are eating cheap.
Let's take a look real quick at USC's schedule, because Clay Helton is just having a real tough morning this morning. Like... He's not seeing that the freshman kid didn't play awful for being a freshman, thrust into the starting role like that quickly, like in halftime of your first game. But like they got Stanford next week, then they go to Provo, and then they got Utah coming to them. So like, and then they go to Seattle. So good luck. Like you got Stanford, BYU, Utah, and Washington, your next 4. And then if you want, you can take a week off and then play Notre Dame.
BYU is,
that's their next 5.
Why do they play Notre Dame so early?
I don't know. Well, October 12th.
The best Notre Dame USC game in recent memory was the Manti Te'o game.
Phenomenal game.
Yeah, when it was the last game of the year, and Notre Dame had to hold USC at the door.
Yep.
That was incredible. That should be, if Notre Dame wants to pimp the USC rivalry, it should be the last game of the year every year.
Tyler Eifert had 1 catch, and it was like the biggest catch of the game.
Yep.
Like, yeah, I remember that.
That was a great game.
But man, like he might not last till week 6. They have like seriously.
They might but maybe they just keep him on for the year and then say, all right, Clay, have your
yeah, but like they're not going to win any of their next 5. Like I'm dead serious. They got Stanford, BYU, Utah, Washington, and Notre Dame.
Which ones are on the road? Washington's on the road.
BYU, Washington, and Notre Dame.
BYU's bad, but going there's never easy.
But BYU just like they're bad, but they just gave Utah a game, kind of a first half, and they've got a freshman quarterback. But now they're playing a freshman quarterback, or no, the kid's a sophomore at BYU, but he's only like 19, which is like the youngest quarterback in BYU history by 5 years.
No caffeine in his life either.
No, I don't think he's a Mormon.
Unfortunate.
I don't think the kid's a Mormon. I think they signed him. His dad went to Utah.
I didn't know that they signed non-Mormon students.
I think they did. I think Steve Young wasn't like going on a mission or anything.
They got to convert.
He was younger too. Maybe.
I'm not sure.
Quarterbacks are usually like 26 years old, but like seriously, USC,
how could you be not a Mormon and go to BYU? I feel like I would struggle with the lifestyle.
Not a Mormon.
What?
Jimmer wasn't a Mormon.
Yeah, but I would struggle with the lifestyle.
Oh, I would definitely. I couldn't do it.
I've never thought about this.
There are kids who are good kids in the world. I just was not one of them.
Listen, I think I'm a good kid, but I could not
to go to BYU.
Yeah, no, and I don't know that I'd call that good either. No, you don't drink,
wholesome.
You don't drink, you don't smoke, but you have 17 kids from 5 different women.
Persuasion.
Which people? What do you want? Which is better?
Well, I bet Clay Helton would do it right now if they gave him a job, because I don't think he's going to keep his... Sorry, Clay Helton. It's a tough break.
It is a really bad... And I was very sad. Like, I'm starting to think that USC's cursed. I don't know what they have done to deserve being cursed.
No, but I mean, they're about to be 1-5.
That sucks. They needed a good year.
So that means... Plus, Fox has the Pac-12 contract now, right? So Urban Meyer's going to be halftime of these USC games being like, I'm going to take this job in 5 weeks.
So... Oregon-Auburn, I don't know that it really lived up to the hype, but it was a good game.
Yeah.
Texas and LSU next week.
I'm excited.
Should be tremendous.
I'm really... Next week's got some good ones, right? That's not the only good one, isn't it? Isn't there a real good one next week, other than that?
Next week's got Michigan State and Western.
Grab the reins.
We'll get to... Clemson, Texas A&M should be a good game.
That's the one.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the
and
one.
LSU and Texas.
Yep.
Michigan State and Western Michigan. We have to get into Michigan State in a minute, but I like LSU. The SEC had a really bad weekend. LSU went out and popped Georgia Southern.
Quarterback.
Yeah, for the first
real
time
live
in a long time. And LSU went out and popped Georgia Southern 55-3, I think.
Yeah.
The only other team in the SEC that beat someone that convincingly was Alabama.
And they didn't have a convincing first quarter by any means.
Sure didn't.
Like, they're still Alabama, but
Duke. To credit Duke, they came out and threw punches in the first 5 to 10 minutes of that game, and then Alabama did Alabama things.
Exactly.
But even Georgia wasn't as convincing as LSU.
No, A&M had a big win, didn't they?
Yeah, but it's
they
A&M.
played Texas State.
Yeah, and it's... Well, and I thought Texas State covered, which is another aspect of that, like, which I don't put a ton into because obviously A&M has Clemson next week, and they weren't showing everything. They got out to a big enough lead.
34.5.
Right.
Yeah.
But I do take into account a little bit, as you will see when I get into Michigan State. I think like the Big Ten is comfortably the best conference in America, top to bottom. You don't have Alabama, you don't have Clemson, you don't have LSU, but I think you are comfortably...
Auburn had a big win last night, too. Like, the SEC is still, like, at the top 3 or 4 in the SEC.
I want to talk about Auburn, Oregon for a minute because I don't think Auburn won that game. I think Oregon lost it. I think Oregon always does this. I think Mario Cristobal has always done this. He can't win big games. He can't coach with a lead. He did it at Stanford last year at home. Now he's done it against Auburn.
And then they needed a stop. Like, they couldn't get a stop.
He has the number 1 quarterback prospect outside of Tua in college football.
Does Trevor Lawrence count?
No.
No, fair.
Not yet, because he's like draft eligible, I should have said.
They would, yeah.
But, yeah, because Trevor Lawrence be the number 1 pick last year, this year, and next year.
Like, this is why that's rule. We're way sidetracked if we go off on that. Forget that. But, like, yeah, that rule's stupid.
No, but you got, like, the guy, he's a top 5 pick. Probably top 3.
For sure.
It's probably like 201.
Daniel Jones
Herbert
just
3.
went 6th. So, all bets are off.
I don't want to go down that tangent either,
exactly.
but people are starting to pimp Daniel Jones' NFL prospects anyways.
Pump the brakes.
But I just, like, how do you have a quarterback that's that good? You can't put him in successful positions. You can't put his offense in successful positions, even though you have maybe the best offensive line in the country, and you can't get stops down the road, just close a game.
Oregon's just, like, ever since the rest of the country caught up, like, they used to be the team. Remember, like, they had... 10 seconds or less in between plays? They were the stopwatch.
Chip Kelly offense.
Yeah, and now Chip Kelly can't even do shit. They lost to Cincinnati this week,
UCLA.
and it was embarrassing.
Boy,
but
oh boy.
Either, like, everybody else is just caught up to Oregon now. It's not, like, the only thing they got going for them is I couldn't tell it was them until I realized they were in different uniforms this time again.
Right.
Like,
well, and I think it's not your father's Oregon anymore, like the Chip Kelly Oregon, where it's like, if you want to be on this team, you have to run a 4.5.
Yeah.
If you want to be on this team, you have to be able to.
And Michael James. And
you got to
those
get
guys.
to the line in 10 seconds or less. Like they were the Phoenix Suns of college football.
Sub-5s. You know, like their linemen move better than they get.
Even their pass rushers had that speed, and obviously you have to. But it was another level. Like I might even be going too fast. It might have been a 4.4 if you want to be rostered.
Oh, if you want a skill position, you're minimum of 4.4.
Right. And
Dennis Dixon.
I think Oregon now is like, we're going to be big. We're going to be imposing up front. Offensive line's going to be good. Defensive line's going to be good. Coaching, lacking.
They embody the Pacific Northwest a little bit more than they used to. when they used to be pulling kids out of L.A.
Yeah. And I think the same thing can be said for Auburn, because in the first half of that game, Gus Malzahn had no interest in winning. None. He was rolling a true freshman quarterback out left and having him throw across his body.
That kid,
in long developing bootleg plays, and I'm like, dude, that's a true freshman quarterback. He was in high school 6 months ago.
Yeah, seriously. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, he looked like Baker looked at Texas Tech, though. Like, the first time I saw Baker Mayfield play, I was like, that kid's a walk-on. Like, all right, I didn't think he was gonna win the Heisman and be the first overall pick. I'm not copping to that, but like Bo Nix last night, I was like, oh, that kid's pretty good. He's got something. Like that
is good.
I was like, he's 18. Okay, yeah, he's got something.
But that's part of why I want Gus Malzahn gone, because I think he will ruin that kid.
He'll get him hurt. He keeps doing that, he'll get hurt.
He's got a really talented quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to say Trevor Lawrence talent, because I think Trevor Lawrence is outer space
is also
good.
An Adonis.
Yeah.
Like, he grew an inch and a half last year.
He's outer space good. But
see that hit at the goal line on the pick? Yeah.
He makes good plays. Yes. But I think Bo Nix in 2 years could be Justin Herbert. Could be that level of quarterback.
Sure. I mean,
I think he's got the pieces.
He's got, what is he, about 6'2"? Like, he's
listed, I think he's listed 6'1", 207, and it seems small.
Yeah, but he can move. We said Steve Young already once in this podcast today. Like, maybe a Steve Young type of comp.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he's Manziel.
Cool.
He reminded me of Baker, like, right away, where Baker ran more at Texas Tech than he did at Oklahoma. It was like, oh, he's got a little bit of... He's not going to blow anybody away, but he can
Baker's
move.
not a runner. Baker's mobile. He's not a runner. And maybe that might be selling him a little bit short, but you know what I mean.
Sure, exactly.
He's not Cam Newton.
He's a scrambler.
He's not Cam Newton.
Yeah, he can make plays with his legs, but he's not going to make plays down the field with his legs.
Right.
That's the impression I got, and granted, it's
little like Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre.
But I'm so hesitant to throw Aaron Rodgers at anybody. Like, that comp's so unfair. But, like, that was what I saw. Granted, 60 minutes and he's 18 years old. Small sample size. But he's got something. Like, Gus Malzahn should, like, be able to make something out of this kid. If he's a bum in 2 years, I'm blaming Gus Malzahn.
I think Malzahn's a much better offensive coordinator than he is a head coach.
Yeah,
I think when he had Cam, and I told you this before we started the show, I think when he had Cam, he actually maximized a really good prospect.
Sure.
I don't think he's done that since. I think with Nick Marshall, he was routinely putting Nick Marshall in spots where it didn't favor his skill set. Nick Marshall was more runner than thrower. He couldn't throw. No. Gus Malzahn had him throwing deep balls.
Yeah, and again, they're an off-the-helmet Hail Mary against Georgia.
And a kick six
away from playing in the Peach Bowl.
If that.
Like, yeah.
They would have been a 3-loss football team.
Exactly. So, like, they're playing, the Outback Bowl? Like, something. Like,
would they have been 3-loss? No, they would have been, because they were undefeated when they went into Florida State,
I think they had one loss. Didn't they have a loss from earlier in the year?
I'll have to look. But either way, like, if they lose those 2 games, I don't think Gus Malzahn gets fired, but I don't think he lasts
Michigan
this
State should have
long
been in the playoff that year, just saying.
If there was a playoff.
Right.
There wasn't. No, the thing is...
It was last year without it. Yeah. Jameis.
Because it was the Rose Bowl. Yep. Michigan State, if they don't lose to Notre Dame on the back of multiple offensive pass interference calls, just dreadful. And if Mark D'Antonio doesn't gets out of his own way, rather, and pulls Andrew Maxwell...
He put him back in.
Yeah, right.
He put him back in.
Made no sense. It was nonsensical things.
Oh, God. That grinds my gears. That's like... There are those certain points in the second PMT reference already where they did like a tough pill to swallow. One of mine is like Michigan State's never going to win a national championship in football. But that was so close. Like, they were so close because they could have beaten that Florida State team. I know they could have beaten that Florida State team.
Right, 12-2, 7-1 SEC. So who did they lose to? But the thing with the Michigan State thing, too, is I know they could have beaten them, and Florida State did not want to play Michigan State.
No
one wanted to play Michigan State.
That defense, what they did to Ohio State hadn't lost a game in 2 years.
And they were the hottest team in America.
Exactly.
Nobody was playing better than Michigan State at the end of that season. It was one of the best college defenses I've ever seen.
I thought when they were going into that Big Ten championship game, I was like, this is going to be shit. Like, Ohio State's going to win again. They haven't lost a game in 2 years. Braxton Miller's unbelievable.
At LSU in 2013 was Auburn's loss. They lost by 14 points.
There's always one in the SEC.
See,
get tripped up at some point.
If Notre Dame had been good that year, they weren't. If they had been actually good, Michigan State would have been in the national championship game.
They were coming off a national championship game. Notre Dame
I'm certain. Yeah. Because they punked Ohio State on a neutral site in a stadium that was 75% Ohio State fans.
At least 75%.
I was there. Yeah. It was terrifying.
At least 75%.
It was horrifying.
And again,
being
Ohio
in that
State
building.
had not lost a game in 2 years. They were 12-0 the year before. They just couldn't go to a bowl game. They had not lost in 2 years.
It was like 20. Was it 24 straight wins?
I believe so.
And they went to game 13 in Big Ten championship
and they rolled
game.
Michigan.
Yes,
Yeah.
And then Michigan State, Ohio State got out to a good start. That was when they went up 21-7, and then it ended 34-24.
I think so. Yeah.
So I want to start talking about Michigan State. I want to get into the local teams. We got to talk Michigan too, because I have concerns about both. But Kevin, I'm going to turn your mic off for a moment, because I want to do something I haven't done in quite some time on this program. I want to rant. I want to be passionate. I want to be angry. I want to be loud. Because I watched that Michigan State football game, and I came home from work. I had beers. I had snacks. I was excited. I get to see a new, supposedly stylish, high-flying offense. Brian Lewerke, healthy, great thrower of the football. Brian Lewerke was ready to go. It was the second coming of this 2017 guy. We weren't going to power run the ball 40 times. We weren't going to run short side jet sweeps. Dave Warner wasn't going to be in charge of it. Jim Bowman still asleep in the press box, but certainly not involved in offensive play calling. All of these things, very good things. I was super excited to watch it. And then the game started. And the first drive was cool because we went down, we scored a touchdown, Connor Hayward took it in. There was a weird fourth down thing where Rocky Lombardi took the field, which I didn't understand, but hey, whatever, we scored the touchdown, we're good to go. And Connor Hayward got in, and by the way, this is an aside, what the hell is the deal with Michigan State's strength and conditioning team where they had Le'Veon Bell in his junior year, fat as hell, but still able to hurdle the Boise State guy? Now Connor Hayward, it looks like a Mack truck. I don't know what's going on with D'Antonio. Yeah, and his strength and conditioning team that they make Connor Hayward into a Mack truck. One of my friends texted me, he said, dude looks like a fridge. I'm like, yeah, I don't get it. I don't know why they do this to running backs. It's the power run deal. It's the thing that they do. I'm upset with how Michigan State played in this game. And people are going to say to me, But Shea, they won. They're 1-0. They won the game. They won by 20 points. They're good. They won the game. The defense kicked ass. Blow it out your ass. I don't care if the defense kicked ass. Defense I knew was going to kick ass because it's probably the best defense in America. They better kick ass. You're playing Tulsa. My question is, why are you running the same offense that you ran a year ago that finished in the bottom of the country, and you come out and say we're going to change it? No more short side jet sweeps. No more. How many times do I have to watch a jet sweep? You want me to blow you because it was for the long side of the field instead of the short side? What are we talking about? You can't move the ball against Tulsa. Tulsa! What are we doing? You can't score 30. Please, all I want, and I swear I'm not asking too much, all I want out of Michigan State, cover the spread at home in an opener against a bad team. Punk someone. Blow somebody out. Am I asking too much? It's Tulsa. Blow someone out. Score 30 points.
All of those things are justified. Everything you just said is justified.
It's Tulsa.
Like negative 73 yards rushing.
Fuck, I don't care.
No shit.
Blow it out your ass.
No shit. Negative 73 yards rushing.
Fantastic.
Their line looks like 8th graders. No shit. Negative 73 yards rushing.
Oh my God, you're playing an American Conference football team that finishes in the middle of the American Conference pack. I don't care that they couldn't run the ball. I don't care that they had 0 net offensive yards. I don't care that they only scored 7 points. You didn't give up a rushing touchdown. You couldn't move the ball. Your offensive line was on its back against Tulsa.
You were 6 for 19 on third downs.
And I swear to God, Kevin, I swear to God, if I have to spend all of this season watching Rocky Lombardi come in on 4th and 1 because they called a spot route on 3rd and 5 that ended a yard short of the markers for a tight end who goes to the ground immediately, and then I have to watch Brian Lewerke get pulled for Rocky Lombardi to run an option QB keeper on 4th and 1 that isn't going to get anywhere because Brian Lewerke's the better runner, I'm going to lose my freaking mind. I'm done with this. I'm done watching this offense. I'm done watching this style, and I'm now convinced that Mark D'Antonio is the reason that it happens, not Dave Warner. I'm tired of it. I'm done.
Rocky Lombardi is an overgrown middle school quarterback.
You want to put Rocky Lombardi?
That's all he is. He's a wrestler.
You watched Ohio State on Saturday,
yes,
right?
I did.
You want to put Rocky Lombardi in a 4th and 1 option package against that D-line? Because I don't.
If you're 6 for 19 on third downs against Tulsa, what are you going to be in 19 chances against Ohio State?
If you get 19 chances.
Like, in all
they're going to be turning the ball over on second down.
You can only rush for 108 yards against Tulsa. How many yards are you going to rush for against Ohio State? If Brian Lewerke's 21 of 37 against Tulsa, what's it going to look like against Ohio State? What's it going to look like against Penn State? Like, Penn State scored 79
looked like a good
points.
football team.
Like, yeah.
Listen, I'm never going to be worried about the defense. I don't know that anyone's going to score 30 on us. I don't know that anyone's going to get over 24 points on this defense. I don't know that anyone.
I mean, their defense is mean as hell. Negative 73 yards. Like,
if Ohio State gets over 30 or gets over 24, if Ohio State scores more than 3 touchdowns on Michigan State, it will not be because of Ohio State's offense. It will be because their defense kept our sorry ass offense off the field.
Like, the first half against Ohio State will be fine. They'll only be up 10-3, and then the second half, the defense will be on the field for literally 28 of the 30 minutes. And they'll get killed for the last 10 minutes of that because they'll just be dead.
You know how many times Mark D'Antonio's teams have covered the spread in a home opener? 1.
Yeah, who was it? I don't remember that. Was the spread really small?
It might have been.
Was it Boise?
I want to say it was Western Michigan the playoff year, but even that game I think was close.
Oh no, Andrew Maxwell. I'm pretty sure they won that game 14-10 or something. It wasn't big. The defense scored all the points.
You remember when they almost lost at home?
Pick sixes.
You remember when they almost lost at home to Central Michigan?
Yes.
These things.
Remember when they did lose at home to Central Michigan?
What was it? The 2000? Was it the year they were bad with Andrew Maxwell when they almost lost to Eastern at home?
Yeah.
Beat a bad team
because they went into Central and rolled them. But I remember when they did lose to Central Michigan at home with Dan Lefevre. They lost to Central Michigan. That's a thing that happened.
There's no way that I'm asking too much when I simply say, Michigan State, I want you to go out and pop somebody. And I now know it'll never happen because the offense will never change because D'Antonio's so set in his ways. And when he retires and he puts the stuffed suit of Mike Tressel into the head coaching position and doesn't axe any of his friends and doesn't change any of the offense, and Tressel just keeps going on because he's got this incredible defense that is admittedly incredible and kicks ass.
Phenomenal.
Awesome defense. He recruits well. He develops well. I like Tressel as far as defense goes until something changes in the offense where Mark D'Antonio's golf buddies have to get removed from the program because clearly reshuffling the deck chairs didn't work. Office roulette didn't work. Didn't do anything because you can't score 30 points at home against Tulsa.
If you're going to be this power program that you want to project yourself as, and no, we're good enough, but we can schedule cupcakes week 1 and you can't get mad. Fine, keep scheduling cupcakes week 1. You know what premier programs do to cupcakes in week 1?
They beat them 55-3 like LSU did to Georgia Southern.
Shit out of them. Or you're Tennessee when you schedule a cupcake and every now and then you get beat when you're a 25-point favorite. That's what you're closer to right now than the team that schedules the cupcakes every year and blows them out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You are much closer to being Tennessee and losing to Georgia State than you are being LSU and punking Georgia Southern.
Without a doubt, a point in that second quarter where I was like, oh, they could easily lose this game.
Look at this. Georgia schedules Vanderbilt. Well, and this is a conference game, but again, Georgia schedules Vanderbilt week 1, 30-6. LSU schedules Georgia Southern week 1, 55-3. Alabama schedules Duke neutral site week 1, 42-3. Texas A&M and Texas State 41-7.
Right.
Punk somebody.
They're blowouts.
What do you think Oklahoma's going to do to Houston? Think Oklahoma's defense ain't great.
Not terrible.
But Houston's defense blows.
That's not a cupcake though.
But you think Oklahoma's going to walk out of there without putting 50 points on?
Oh no, they're gonna. I'm very excited to see Jalen Hurts. We're recording this almost 3:00, so we haven't seen a game yet. But I'm very excited to see what Jalen Hurts is going to do. I don't think Houston's a cupcake though. Holgerson took the Houston job.
I agree, but his defenses suck.
Sure.
I mean, even in the Big Ten, you look at Ohio State schedules FAU. And FAU, it's a Lane Kiffin offense. It's a live dog.
They can come in and score.
45-21.
Yeah, but hey, give them credit. 21 points against an Ohio State defense.
Again, it's a Lane Kiffin offense. It's a live offense.
Exactly. They were not playing a dead animal.
Michigan State's got the better defense. So that's Penn State schedules Idaho 79-7.
That's what I want.
Even Maryland.
I want to be a Penn State fan.
Even
They're like
Maryland.
us, but offense. We're going to have a great offense.
Maryland sucks at football. They schedule Howard week 1, and what do? 79-0, and they caused the most tone-deaf tweet in the history of Sports Illustrated's Twitter account, is what Maryland did. Did you see this?
No, I did not
This
see
is
this
an aside. Maryland scored 79 points, and Sports Illustrated decided to tweet out, just so you guys know, that's the same number as the offensive lineman who died.
Shit. They didn't really say that.
Yeah.
Like
they
that?
They said, I'd have to go to the tweet.
Did they mean it in like a sentimental vein?
And it was like,
to
hey,
honor him. Like
last year, his name escapes me.
Jordan McNair.
Yeah, Jordan McNair. Thank you. Last year, Jordan McNair passed away. He wore number 79. Today, Maryland scored 79 points. I'm like, you realize that it was basically negligent homicide that killed this poor kid.
Not basically, literally. Like, the guy got fired, right? Like, DJ Durkin's gone.
It was the most tone-deaf tweet I've ever seen in my life. Anyways, this is where I'm at with Michigan State football. Stop being a bunch of bitches. Stop holding on to your golf buddies. Stop doing all the same shit and trying to package it in a different, prettier wrapper. Because I don't buy that you're changing the offense anymore. I don't buy that you're doing new things. The same way I don't think the team a few miles south is doing a whole lot different either. Because guess what? I'm not done with... I'll go off on Michigan State. I'm going to go in on Michigan a little bit too. Learn to finish drives in the red zone. When you get in the red zone, finish drives.
You're going to be a power team, too. Like, you got to have somebody.
I'll give Michigan this. They looked a little more creative offensively. Not really sure what they were doing with and I was busy while I was watching the game last night, so I had to watch a quick cut of it this morning. Not really sure what they were doing with Dylan McCaffrey when they brought him in. I don't know why they were using him the way that they were. Shea looked better than I gave him credit for last night when I watched it live.
He's a better thrower than I thought. Getting the ball out wise.
Yes.
Like I didn't like he was getting it out quick. He was like the quick drops, quick releases, RPOs, like he was getting it out quick, and the receivers are good.
The one Tariq Black is really good.
Yeah.
The one criticism I'll give to both quarterbacks is they need to know when to give up on a rushing play.
And I will also say about this, I don't know that I've ever seen a worse secondary than Middle Tennessee State. That was pretty awful.
Yeah, there were of like Shea's 3 passing touchdowns. 2 of them were wide open receivers,
and
like uncovered.
The route concept on the deep ball to Black in the first quarter, like the corner just didn't go with him. There was 2 guys that just didn't go. Like,
Nobody
what
went
are you doing?
To this moment, I don't know if it was a zone or a man defense where he thought that he must have thought it was a zone and that the safety was behind him to pick him up. There was nobody there.
Yeah,
nobody was there. And I don't know how much stock I can put into this, but somebody in my Twitter mutuals apparently goes to a Conference USA school, and they told me that they watched a lot of Middle Tennessee State football last year, and Middle Tennessee State sucks. So I don't know what this says about Michigan.
From the 60 minutes, well, not quite. I didn't watch all 60, but from the minutes that I watched, I thought they sucked too.
When you can't give up 21 points at home
No.
to Middle Tennessee State, and I don't want to harp on it too much, but I do want to say, listen. Can we get off the Don Brown hype train at some point? Because anytime he goes up against a good deep offense, except for 2016 Penn State, he gets popped. And I did this stat for Big Drew and Jim the other day. Anytime he goes up against a top 25 offense, FBS, in his career, he gives up an average of 36 points and he's 1-5. And now he's giving up 21 to Middle Tennessee State. And I know you got to replace a lot of starters, but boy, oh boy, can you not give up 21 points at home to Middle Tennessee State.
You can't give up 14 at home to Middle Tennessee. You don't want to give them 2 touchdowns. You don't want, if Middle Tennessee State scores 2 touchdowns on you at home, that's kind of shitty. And in all honesty, I'll give them somewhat of a pass for the first drive. Not a full pass because you got to have your guys
Shea
ready.
put him in a bad spot.
Exactly. They're coming off a fumble. The defense comes flying onto the field before they're probably ready. And everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face, and Middle Tennessee threw a punch.
Yeah.
Then Michigan recuperated and kicked the hell out of them, but at the
Which
same
they needed
time,
to. But again, now I do have concerns, not so much about their offense, which is because I thought going into the season, if we're going to be concerned about any positional, one side of the football for Michigan is going to be the offense. Mm-hmm. They need to prove that it's different. They need to prove that Gaddis is calling more creative and more unique plays, which I think they did. I liked some of what they did with the option styles for Shea and for
there
Dylan
some
McCaffrey.
Good RPO plays.
Yeah, I liked the options that they gave him. I liked some of their out concepts. Defensively, I knew they had to fill holes. I didn't think they would look like that.
No. I mean, the line wasn't as bad as I think people are making it out to be. In a sense, it's terrible when you look at the offensive line from Middle Tennessee and be like, you couldn't get by those guys more often. But at the same, I think the line play will get better. I think that's the area where you're like,
well, and you have to hope, right?
And you need reps. For the linebackers, so much of being a linebacker is just flying to the ball. Like, you got to have like some kind of intellect, know where it's going, like those type of things. But like Devin Bush is Devin Bush because he could fly to the ball. Like, he's great, and he's got all this, football IQ and everything he's got to be able to break down pre-snap and be able to know where the ball is. But you can know where the ball is and be Matt Millen and just not be able to get there. Like, you're that good if you can fly to the ball. The D-line needs reps. You need to be taken on guy. Like, you need, like, D-line play will get better and better for them as I think it goes on. The linebackers concern me a little bit more.
That is, the second level of their defense is kind of where I drew a lot, because there were missed coverages. Exactly. There were things you don't typically see from a Don Brown defense. I've seen them get beat, like against Ohio State, or when Penn State had Saquon Barkley, or like Florida in the bowl game. You flat out just got beat by a team that can actually match you athletically. You just got beat. Like Ohio State ran good concepts, ran crossing routes that Don Brown admittedly didn't adjust to. But it was like, you run this style of defense that's really effective when you can outmuscle everybody and ineffective when you can't. And it's looking more and more like they're going to have a more difficult time outmuscling people than they did last year when they had Devin Bush and Rashawn Gary.
Exactly, when they could match up athlete for
Chase
athlete.
Winovich. Yeah, now you have guys where you're plugging in holes, and that same scheme's not going to work anymore. It's like, I think this is a guy who kind of refuses to make adjustments because he just believes in his system so much. But maybe when Ohio State puts 62 on you, you might want to rethink it.
And like when Middle Tennessee State has these 5'7", 5'8" guys running around and making your linebackers look slow, it's not good for what you're going to see against Penn State. Like,
it's not good for what you're going to see against Ohio State.
Exactly. Like,
and the only other thing I'll say for Michigan, because I am still a little bit concerned offensively, only because when you have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. And so I think if it's Dylan McCaffrey, it's Dylan McCaffrey, and that's fine. Like Shea, he's a grown man. He could have gone to the NFL last year.
He's lost a job before.
Yeah, like, it's not the end of the world. Like, if it's Dylan McCaffrey, so be it. But choose Dylan McCaffrey. If it's not, choose Shea. Pick a quarterback, because you can get away with doing two quarterbacks and subbing guys in and out and using them in different ways.
Week 1 and week 2
to figure out what they give you when you're going against Middle Tennessee State. Next week, Army, right?
Is it next? Yeah, I think it is Army next week.
When you go up against a gimmicky Army team that has decent athletes and runs the triple option, you might want to stick with one quarterback, because you might actually get yourself in a game if you go with a competition. When it comes up against a team like Michigan State that has probably the best defense in America, you really don't want to still be deciding. The best defense
you're going to see all year, without a doubt.
Certainly. You really don't want to still be deciding who your quarterback is.
I mean, they get a week off after Army, and then they got to go to Madison. Like, you don't want to be deciding who your quarterback is in Madison. I mean,
and Wisconsin looked like a live dog. Wisconsin looked very much alive, which I was surprised. Even like quarterback play wise, which is the big thing for me, because I always know Wisconsin is going to have Jonathan Taylor. They're going to run the ball. I know they're probably going to be good on defense. I know they didn't throw it a lot. I know they didn't show a lot, but it didn't look terrible.
No,
quarterback wise.
No, you never want to go into Madison with any questions about your offense, because Wisconsin's always going to have a defense that wants to stop the run. You're going to need your quarterback.
And I know it's going to be September, but shit, it might snow. Like, it's
September 21st. It's the end of September.
Going into Madison.
The very highest is going to be 55 degrees if you get a great day. Like,
it is always it's always a scary place to go for me when you go to Wisconsin. I actually am at a point where I think the Big Ten West might be good. Nebraska looks good.
Nebraska has a lot of hype.
Iowa, I think, is good. Minnesota, I think, is good. Wisconsin looked good.
Minnesota scared me a little.
Everyone in the Big Ten except Purdue and Northwestern is undefeated.
And Purdue and Northwestern are not bad. Like Purdue has an offense. Nevada's an okay team. Shout out to Nevada's coach, because that moment with the kid getting the scholarship after you imagine making a game-winning kick as an 18-year-old true freshman, coming in, getting a game ball in your first game, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, game ball and scholarship."
I almost
call your parents, tell them they don't have to write a check next week.
That was pretty. That was awesome. Pretty cool. I almost want to call Northwestern bad just because they kicked me in the dick so badly, but
yeah, it sucks. That's a tough one. It's a tough one.
I'm so pissed.
Northwestern, will win some random under-the-lights game in Evanston against one good team this year, whether it's Wisconsin, Penn State, Nebraska, Ohio State, Michigan, or Michigan State. They're going to win one of those games underneath the lights on a field that looks like they're playing in the corn.
Michigan State at Northwestern, September 21st. Lock it in right now.
Boom.
Northwestern's winning that game.
One of those, they always win one of those games every year.
Michigan State can't fucking beat Northwestern.
Nope.
Northwestern and Nebraska.
No chance.
It doesn't matter. They could be winless. Northwestern and Nebraska. Michigan State's not winning those games. No way.
There will be 8 bad pass interference calls for Nebraska in that game, as there is every year.
And then they'll win it in a walk-off.
Yep, exactly.
Oh, my.
It's always a shitty PI call against Nebraska for Michigan State all the time.
But maybe if you score more than 13 points, you could win a football
Nebraska
game.
Last year drove me to drink. Legitimately, that is the worst.
That's the thing about the Notre Dame game, too, that I will always whine because Trey Waynes got called for pass interference calls that both were on the wide receiver. Both of them clearly offensive pass interference that went against Trey Waynes. Score more than 13 points.
Honestly, don't put Andrew Maxwell back in.
You have a Rose Bowl team. Score more than 13 points.
And I remember the Connor Cook PI in the end in Nebraska in 2013. Or was it 2012 or 2013? No, it was the crappy year. Taylor Martinez running all over, and then they got 2 bad PI calls on Mitchell White at the end. It's always a PI call. But maybe if you scored some more points, it wouldn't always be a PI call.
Actually, I think that Michigan should take a lesson from Michigan State there with bringing Andrew Maxwell back into the game. Because one thing I will say for D'Antonio that season, Andrew Maxwell never saw a down until he kneed out the Rose Bowl. After that.
Right.
And it's do that.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to go, Michigan, you don't want to go into, what's their earliest, Madison. So you go into Madison, you're in a game where the officials aren't on your side, you're on the road, you're not scoring a ton, you're battling your quarterbacks, you bring Shea back in late, or you bring Dylan McCaffrey back in late, whatever it is, and you lose, just don't do that anymore. Just pick the other guy. And maybe don't do that to begin with, and just pick somebody and roll with it.
And it's the same kind of situation, too. Shea's in year 2. That was year 2 of Maxwell. He had a crappy year the year before, but they were hurt all the time. Everything was bad. They were in games. They lost to Ohio State by 1 point at home. Those type of things. And then you keep bringing him back in, and then you put him on the bench. And Connor Cook goes 33-6 as a starter. So maybe let Dylan McCaffrey go 33-6.
I think part of the reason why I lean McCaffrey, and I do lean McCaffrey, I think the reason why is Shea Patterson, you said year 2. He's really in year 4.
Fair.
And he's also in his third offense
but
in
so
as
was
many
Andrew Maxwell
years.
in year 4.
Exactly. And that's why you've had this kid now learn Ole Miss. He came to Michigan and learned the more traditional pro-style power run, archaic stuff, and now you're giving him Brad Gaddis, and he's learning this entirely new sort of high-flying RPO option-based offense. Dylan McCaffrey probably, who has just been sitting on the bench, and granted, he's learning this one new as well because he was under Harbaugh's system, but just let him go.
It's less of an adjustment.
Exactly. He's not a transfer student who is now on his third offense in 3 years.
And he never once agreed to play football for Hugh Freeze, so he's got that going for him.
Yeah, fair.
Shea Patterson did say, Hugh Freeze, I like the cut of this guy's
Should have been a red
jib.
flag.
Let's
That
go to
should have been a
Oxford.
red flag.
Can I wear number 20? Yeah, just a lot of things about Shea Patterson.
Who are you more concerned about going forward? Michigan or Michigan State?
Oh, it's Michigan State. It's always going to be.
Score points.
Michigan, they've got a hell of a schedule in the next few. They get Iowa and Wisconsin in 2 of their next 4.
Not great.
It's tough. They have a bye week in there,
The other
right
thing,
before Wisconsin.
and this goes for both teams, but Michigan really is, you've got at the end of the season in November, so your schedule's front-loaded with difficulty because you've got at Wisconsin and then Iowa.
And
then
at Penn State.
At Penn State,
And home
which
against Notre
will
Dame.
be a whiteout. The following week is versus Notre Dame at home. That's a tough...
More than likely a night game.
And then you get your break where you get at Maryland, bye week, Michigan State, Indiana, Ohio State. Yeah. Michigan's schedule is balanced very unfairly.
It sucks. They're through October, and you think you're through the toughest part, and then you got Michigan State and Ohio State in November.
It's the month of September is... Army's never easy, so I don't want to say easy.
It's never a throwaway with Army, just because they'll keep the ball for 40 minutes.
Yeah. I don't want to call Army easy, and they have athletes for once. They might be a fringe top 25 football team. I look at Wisconsin, never easy, especially on the road.
In Madison.
You're coming off a bye week, so I think that helps. never easy. Versus Rutgers.
There's the week for your quarterback change, that bye week.
Yes. Versus Rutgers at home, you're probably going to knock them out.
You better win by 50. I don't care if they scored 70. You better win by 50.
But then October is like really hard because
tough.
you get Iowa at home, at Illinois, which should be a throwaway.
It should be, but Illinois put up points. I know they were
And
playing.
Lovie Smith is fighting for a job.
And he got a decent recruiting class, and they've got new facilities.
Yep.
I hear. I haven't seen them. New facilities. There's
Who doesn't
a
love
chance
champagne?
Ohio State. Remember when Illinois came into Michigan and it was like, oh no, that was Indiana, where it was like 70-63 or something. Like, there's always a team. You come in and just score a bunch of points, and it's a shootout. Like, it doesn't matter. You got a good defense.
I think that was,
this team just spreads it out.
I actually think that was Illinois when they went to like triple overtime. And
maybe it was, yeah.
then you have the week after at Illinois, you stay on the road and go to Happy Valley in what will be a whiteout and is almost always the game Michigan loses.
If they are through October and they only have one loss, I think that's a positive.
But they it is. But they really have to get through October and have no losses.
Yeah, oh yeah, if you want the chance.
I don't know how good Notre Dame is. I know they're in top 10 in the country.
We'll find out tomorrow night.
I believe that they're a fraud.
I'm hearing Ian Book Heisman hype. I'm like,
well, I could see it. Like, honestly, I could see it.
I suppose when you are the quarterback at Notre Dame, it's built into if you have a good year, you got a chance.
My thing with Notre Dame has never been a talent issue. It's the fact that I think 9 of their opponents face Notre Dame the week after a bye week. That's been my thing, is like, you're going to struggle to win games because everybody's facing you on extra rest. Mm-hmm. So I think that it's different in this case because Michigan's not coming off a bye week. And I think Notre Dame is talented. But then you get the month of November where it's like you have your schlump at Maryland, bye week, Michigan State, at Indiana, Ohio State. And it's tough. You don't get an easy month.
You don't have a bye week in October, so you got to hope to get through Iowa, Penn State, and Notre Dame healthy too.
Yeah,
like that's 3 teams that can rough you up, and then you come in with Maryland and Michigan State,
and you go on the road to Maryland, who their defense is not good, but they've been live. They just scored
offensively. 79 points.
They have
always
been live
able to score.
offensively. They scored 58 on Ohio State a year ago.
They gave Ohio State a hell of a game.
And so I do think that there's a struggle there, and I am concerned about Michigan. Not as much as I'm concerned about Michigan State, though, because of the fact that at least Michigan has a pulse on offense. At least they have players who have heartbeats. At least they have a head coach who is willing to look at himself and go, yeah, I need to make changes. Yeah. D'Antonio just said he has to make changes. He said they're going to make changes. He moved offices around.
The paychecks look exactly the same.
He promoted Brad Salem. They didn't make any changes. No. And so next week, like, I look at Michigan State at home against Western. Am I scared? Yes. I look at Michigan State at home against Arizona State. Am I scared?
Oh,
terrified. Terrified.
That's just...
Herm Edwards might come in here and punk us again. At Northwestern, am I scared?
I knew they were going to lose that game last year, too. Like, everybody knew going to Tempe, it was like, oh, they're going to lose this one.
I'm terrified of at Northwestern. Yeah. Horrified of it. Home against Indiana, probably one of the only games in the schedule that doesn't worry me because it's always their offense that wins and our defense is just too good.
I'm not super worried, but there is the chance that, like, we only have 7 points and all of a sudden it's the fourth quarter and Indiana gets a drive together.
Post Indiana, no bye week at Ohio State, October 5th.
Yeah, that's
no bye week after that at Wisconsin. No way you win both.
And then a bye week and then Penn State. I mean, there's
then this is what gets weird about that is bye week Penn State, bye week Illinois. Yeah. You go 28 days and play one football game.
But the thing is like, I mean, there is a better than 60% chance they're 0-3 in October. Like, it's definitely better than 50-50. Like, all 3 of those teams should beat them.
I don't know about Penn State. I think you go 2-1. I don't even know about Wisconsin. I think you go 2-1.
They're going to Wisconsin.
I think you go 2-1. Defense travels. I've always believed that.
You need to beat Penn State and Wisconsin. I would be happy with 1-2 if they were close in the 2 losses.
I think they
close in one of the
losses. I
think
they absolutely lose at Ohio State because it's a night game, and you don't go into the shoe at night and win. Nobody does.
No, they don't have an offense.
When's the last time somebody went into the shoe at night and won?
Tyler
Oklahoma?
O'Connor and Damian Terry, baby. Let's go.
Oh,
well, that was like 3:30 though. That was a really night game.
Yeah, it ended at night. Yeah, it ended when it was dark out, but it wasn't.
It was raining.
It wasn't under the lights the whole time. The last time somebody went in and played a night game in Ohio State in Columbus and won was when Baker Mayfield planted the flag at midfield.
Awesome. That was awesome.
Nobody goes in there and wins at night.
No.
So that's a loss. At Wisconsin, I could see being a loss. Versus Penn State, I could see being a loss. At home against Illinois, you probably win 10-3.
So true.
At Michigan, maybe you win because Mark D'Antonio plays voodoo magic on
somehow,
that game. He's got pixie dust
it
that he
doesn't matter
sprinkles.
it doesn't matter if Michigan's number 2 and we're 3-9. There's a chance they win that game.
Do you remember when we were literally the 3-9 football team and Michigan came in and won by 9 points because for whatever reason D'Antonio just fires them up?
It's just that game. Like there's that game is. Even last year when it got like far away in the second half, like the first half of that game,
it was 14-7.
You could tell there was a talent gap, but they still couldn't pull away.
They just if Michigan State could move the ball,
exactly,
it would have been a close game, if not a win. Because again, I will die on the hill that Michigan State had one of the 5 best defenses in the country last year, if not the best.
Sure.
They just couldn't move the ball
at all. And like Rocky Lombardi was their quarterback.
They had like the 117th or 120th best offense in the country out of 128.
Yeah, I'm sure it was like
and
bottom 3, I'm pretty sure.
Do you know how hard it is to have an offense that bad? It was bottom 4. It was a bottom 4 offense. Do you know how hard it is to have an offense that bad and still hold every single opponent under their scoring average? It's damn near impossible. That might be the best defense
any other
ever.
Team that's done it. Like, yeah. You don't get that good of a defense and have a shitty offense because you should be able to recruit or coach on both sides.
I had never seen a disparity between sides of the football like I saw last year for Michigan State.
Never.
Like I'm starting to think we might see this year for Michigan State.
How do you not, like, I'll give the coaches one thing. How do you stop a mutiny in the locker room? How do you stop the defense from just yelling at the offense all the time? Like, I've been on baseball teams where we couldn't hit, but we could pitch, and it is chaos in that clubhouse between the pitchers and the fielders. Like, there's legitimately dividing lines. I don't know how a football locker room stays mea culpa in that type of setting.
I think injuries probably mitigated some of that because Cody White went down and then Felton Davis went down. I think that the offense could at least go, look, guys, we're playing real hurt. Brian Lewerke's shoulder was not even attached to his body. Yeah. He was basically dead.
Legitimately.
And Rocky Lombardi comes in and
overgrown
stinks.
middle schooler. Rocky Lombardi
Stinks.
Noted 7th grader, Rocky Lombardi.
I still can't believe they were putting him in on 4th and 1 for option keepers.
When he came in that first, I was really, is this going to be all year? This is going to happen? Like, he came out there the first time. That was my first thought. I was like, am I going to have to sit through this all year?
That was my exact thought. I got to pull up the text messages that I sent my friends in all caps. I sent these.
I'm not doing this all year. Like, I'm not doing Rocky Lombardi on 4th down.
The text I got from my friend is LMFAO with many O's in all caps. Please tell me you guys are watching this. I responded with call, and all of these are in all caps. Call one play that gets over the sticks. One play, please. Jesus fucking Christ. If I have to watch 4-yard curls on 3rd and 5 all fucking year for a 4th down QB keeper for Rocky fucking Lombardi. I was very angry.
Can we hire like a 29-year-old offensive coordinator like everybody else who just comes in and lets us whip it around all the time? Like, if Adam Gase gets fired in New York, can he come be our coach? Like, I just need somebody who wants to whip it around. We're never going to win a national championship, then let me watch something entertaining.
Listen, this is what you have to listen to is Mark D'Antonio on a microphone. We believe that if we run the ball 40 times, we have a good chance to win the game.
Against who?
It's 2019, Mark.
I'll put it to you this way. You run the ball 40 times, you might have a good chance to win the game. You don't have a good chance to pack a stadium.
Yeah.
Good luck. And if that upper deck is still going to be a quarter empty.
If you're running the ball 40 times in a game that you're losing by 35 points, you maybe should pass the ball.
I don't want to watch Cam Hayward run it 23 times. I don't.
And I don't know why he looks like a fucking Mack truck.
Seriously.
Get some finesse on your backfield. Do something where you can use the backfield.
Give it to Jefferson. I like watching Jefferson run it.
I don't even it's 2019, man. We've seen how the NFL's changing. We've seen how college is changing. I know that the wider hash marks in a college football game are built to stress the run game, to help the run game, and to help the option passing game, option running. I get that. The entire structure from the rules down in college helps option running, helps the rushing game. But nobody else in America is doing this. Nobody else in America is lining up for power runs over and over and over again.
You have such a great defense, too. Just play with an offense that's a little fun to watch and let your defense take over.
The only teams that run this much run the triple option.
And the thing is, you have the defense where you can take risks on offense. Your defense will bail you out. You don't have to be a conservative offensive team. Take those risks. Go get a quarterback who's 5'11" and likes to run around and sling it. I would love to watch one of those guys play. You have the defense that can back him up. If he has a turnover at the 30, it's okay. You got a defense that can hold them to 3. You don't have to run it and punt and play the field position game. Just get an offense that's a little fun to watch.
And even with that, like, yeah, you can play the field position game. You can do what Michigan did in 2016 when they were good. Like, that was the year they went 78-0 against Rutgers. But when they played good teams, it was like, we're not going to score a ton, but we're going to win the field position battle. Michigan State, perfect example. The punt game is Michigan won the field position battle. Michigan State, in every single team stat line, outperformed Michigan. They have more passing yards, they have more rushing yards, higher completion percentage. Every single stat, fewer turnovers. Michigan State dominated that game. Michigan dominated field position, and their defense was good enough that they weren't going to let you in the end zone. So even though you're dominating, you're not scoring, and that's why you should have lost. You can do that, but nobody wants to watch Michigan State win 14-10 against some team from God knows where because you want to run the ball 400 times and you want to play field position instead of just running it down someone's throat or opening up the playbook and throwing it all over the yard and beating somebody 55-3 like LSU does when they schedule Georgia Southern, like you should do when you schedule fucking Tulsa.
Every time they beat Georgia, or whoever it is, school X, doesn't have to be Georgia Southern. Like, that's what premier programs do to those schools. And we talked, Gus Malzahn, a kick 6 and an off the helmet Hail Mary. Okay, Coach D got a fumbled punt.
They're the same
and
coach.
John O'Korn deciding to throw 7 interceptions in the rain and Lewerke pulling one out of his ass. If he doesn't have those 2 wins against Michigan, all of a sudden you have to change. You're not going to allow, like, you get those 2 wins in Michigan, it buys you a year of being like, I can still play this type of football.
If he's 0-4 against Jim Harbaugh, how much different does this look?
We honestly might have a different coach. Like, I'm not saying they would have fired him because, like, you made the point earlier, like, you win the Rose Bowl, you get impunity. I get it. At the same time, that somebody would have demanded he fire the coordinators, and he might have resigned to do it.
But I also think, like, at Michigan, I think this is probably the last thing we'll do for the show, but I think at Michigan, you have Jim Harbaugh, who admittedly has not lived up to expectations, right? And you have a fan base that grows more rabid with each passing year.
Sure.
And I've always said it should never have taken Harbaugh 5 years to get this done. Urban won the Big Ten in 2. Franklin won the Big Ten in 3. D'Antonio won the Big Ten in 4. It should never have taken Harbaugh, who recruits at the level that only Urban could have competed with, 5 years to win the Big Ten. It should never have taken this long.
In fairness, he took Urban 1. He just couldn't play for the championship.
Sure. If it takes Harbaugh, if Harbaugh doesn't get it done this year, is there any confidence he gets it done in year 6? Is there any confidence he gets it done in year 7? The recruiting's not going to go down. It's probably not going to go up. You're just still not getting it done. So I think, like, Michigan fan, well, I don't know that Ward Manuel would ever come out of his office and go, Harbaugh, Jim, look, it's not working out, buddy. We got it. But I do think Michigan boosters and Michigan donors and Michigan fans who still believe in Michigan and the power of the program and the winningest program in college football history would get on the phone and go, hey, Ward, buddy, get this guy the fuck out of here.
Hey, Ward, Northwestern's been to Indianapolis and we haven't.
Yeah, like, seriously. Michigan State's been there 3 times, buddy. Little brother's gone 3 times.
Yeah. And there is that overwhelming sense in Ann Arbor of, if not now, when?
Yeah, that is the motto for them this year is, if they don't get it done this year, I think the confidence that it gets done in successive years just diminishes. And I do think that Michigan fan has high enough expectation, even if it's a delusional expectation. I think there's a high enough expectation that they get on the phone and talk to Ward Manuel, and they're like, look, and these are obviously the boosters and the donors, and they're like, look, man, we're not scared of the unknown anymore. We're not going to pull this whole, who are we going to get that's better?
Go find us a 27-year-old. Go get us somebody.
Go get Cliff Kingsbury.
Exactly.
You don't have to get Cliff, but get that guy.
Guy X.
Go get Sean McVay.
Yep.
Go get that guy.
Go get us the dude who makes it look fun. Like,
yeah,
that's what you want.
Pull someone out of Lincoln Riley's tree. Like,
go get Lincoln Riley.
Seriously, just go get somebody. And the only thing I think stands in the way is
Josh Heupel from Central Florida. Something.
Sure. I think the only thing that stands in the way is so many Michigan fans also have that problem of, like, and maybe it's not fans so much as the board of directors or Ward Manuel himself have the issue of, like, we need a Michigan man. We need somebody who understands the culture.
It doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, you don't need that.
That's not it. You're not selling kids on that.
Yeah, you're not recruiting kids because
Not
Bo
the kids you
Schembechler
want,
won
like,
so many
yeah.
Big Ten titles. You're not recruiting kids because of the 7 national championships you won before 1950. You're not recruiting kids on the back of these things. You're recruiting kids because you have Jim Harbaugh.
Exactly.
You weren't getting these kids under Brady Hoke. You were getting Brady Hoke kids. You weren't getting them under Rich Rod because you were getting Rich Rod kids. Now you're getting pro-style top recruits because you have one of the best and most recognizable coaching names in the country.
Exactly.
And even though most of these kids come out of the program going, yeah, he's a fucking weirdo,
Go into the program thinking he's a weirdo, but
they
he can do something
have
for
success. They go to the NFL. They have that Amazon special where Don Brown looks like a fucking freak. And it seems like it works inside. But again, the one thing I keep seeing is Harbaugh seems to think that it's going to work because it's Michigan. And because if you just stick to what made Michigan successful, you will have Michigan success. I don't think it works anymore.
That's not the mindset of kids anymore. Like, you don't walk in, like, you think you can walk into a Tua Tagovailoa's, I hope I said that right, living room and be like, you should come to Michigan because we're Michigan. Okay, but what can you do? Like, it just doesn't work. You can't walk in and the pitch can't be like, hey, come to Michigan and be a Michigan man and Bo Schembechler and we're the winningest program. Like, you haven't been to a Rose Bowl since, like, Chad Henne got blown out by Mike Williams and whatever quarterback that was, it Sanchez, whoever it was at USC that year. Like, you haven't been since. Like, literally almost every other good program in the Big Ten has gone multiple times.
It's those who stay will be champions, right? So you go in and you tell a kid's parents, this is what we tell people when they come to Michigan. Those who stay will be champions. Really? Because it's been 5 years and nothing's happened.
You can't walk into a living room and say, look what we've done the last 10 years. You're not selling them on that.
I think fans are starting to understand that. I think the first 4 years of Harbaugh going into the Ohio State, I think 62 points in Ohio State might be the watershed moment for Michigan fans where they were like, holy shit, maybe this isn't the guy.
It's only because it was like, it's 62 points and like they thought they were going to win that game. It's not
they
like
should have won that game.
It's not like we're outmatched and he couldn't even keep it close. They walked in thinking this was 06 and they were going to get their revenge.
They were a 3-point favorite
on the road.
Like, and that's, I think that was probably the watershed moment for Michigan fan when that's why there's the overwhelming sense of if not now, when. Yeah. That's why there's this overwhelm. And that's why I think that boosters and donors could get on the phone and say, look, dude, get him out. We're done.
If he can't beat Ryan Day, what are we talking about?
The roundabout point I'm trying to make is that will never happen at Michigan State because Michigan State
boosters who do those things.
Michigan State football fans don't know success well enough, or they don't think they know success well enough, or they think they know success well enough because of who's there. Where it's like so many of these boosters and these donors and these season ticket holders are like, well, I've been a Michigan State football fan since 1970, and the only time I've enjoyed it was in the 80s for 1 year, and then when Mark D'Antonio was here, and he brought us all the success, and by golly, I love him for it. So he can stick around as long as he wants. That is the mentality among so many Spartan fans that because of what he did, he can never go.
And all the talk about, a new AD could come in and he could want to shake things up. ADs work for boosters. Like, that's like saying the commissioner is going to come in and allow marijuana to be legal. Nope, the owners don't want it, so the commissioner ain't going to do it.
Newsflash, the only athletic director in Michigan State history who had a backbone since 1960 just got canned because he was allowing sexual assault in a gymnastics program.
He resigned in shame.
The only athletic director who ever did anything of positive note since 1970 for Revenue Sports, Mark Hollis, resigned in shame, and now you have Bill Beekman, who was a pawn to the football program.
Legitimately. All the emphasize resigned in shame, but he put a basketball game on an aircraft carrier. He did a lot of amazing things. So you're not going to get better than that from a purely athletic director standpoint, sans all the really bad shit that is on his record.
It's real. I want to stress it's real bad shit.
Tough.
But if you're one of the, my point is, if you're one of the Spartan fans that's like, the new athletic director will come in and shake things up. No. You had the athletic director who would have been willing to shake things up, who put basketball games on an aircraft carrier, who would probably sit Mark D'Antonio down in his office and look him in the eye and say, dude, fix your fucking offense. Fire Dave Warner.
Like, this is a dude who came so close to getting a football game in Greece between the Spartans and the Trojans, but Greece decided they were going to tank their economy and we couldn't go over there anymore. Like, had that not happened, we'd have seen USC playing Michigan State to open the weekend in Greece.
Which, God
Would have been
dang,
awesome.
that would have been electric. But when Mark Hollis called Mark D'Antonio in for a meeting, Mark Hollis led the meeting.
Yeah.
When Bill Beekman and Mark D'Antonio meet, I think Bill Beekman's kind of just bending over.
No,
Like,
I don't even. Yeah, like Bill Beekman. Terrible name for an athletic director.
Not great.
Not good. Doesn't inspire confidence.
Even Ward Manuel, which is not a great name for an athletic director, is stronger than Bill Beekman.
Ward is a decent, like Ward Cleaver.
It's
That's
no
the only
Walt.
other Ward I
It's
can
no
think of off
Walt,
the top
but
of my head.
it's got some power.
Yeah, he's being very mean to the Beaver. Very hard on the Beaver.
That was the Monday Mashup College Football Special.
That was.
Well,
We didn't talk anything else.
1 hour of college football.
1 week till the Lions, baby.
Oh,
Here we
fuck.
go.
So next week, we're going to do another hour of only college football.
Yep. We can talk some Patriots or so. The Lions will suck.
I'm probably going to be
I
good.
can't wait till
I
the
don't
Lions
start.
lose to Kyler Murray. And
I don't start paying attention to Patriot football until October when the games matter.
Kyler Murray, 300 yards through the air, 119 yards on the ground, 4 total touchdowns. Arizona wins 35-17.
Can you if the Lions get punked twice in a row in openers by non-playoff teams with a rookie quarterback, Matt Patricia's gone, right? Like, that's it. He's done.
Who would have hired Matt Patricia to begin with? Like, is he gone? I hope they fire him after week 1.
The New York Giants would have hired him.
Let them do that then. Like, look at what they are. Everybody's like, we're getting an NFL talk real late now, so let's just cut it off. But Daniel Jones, great preseason. Still going to suck. Like, don't care that he had a great preseason.
He's getting
still gonna suck.
way too much hype. All right, that's it for the Monday Mashup. Week 1 of college football's in the books. Week 2's coming up. We'll probably talk some basketball as things expand, as the FIBA World Cup gets more underway. They won the game
Shout out
today.
to Eric Gordon. He got paid. Way to go. Secure the bag.
Chris Middleton stinks. Anyways,
This is my shocked face.
thanks for listening.
Later.